chasing those dreams.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to the Art of Resiliency. I'm Loria Yaden, President and CEO of the YMCA of Greater Seattle. I am honored to share this virtual community space with all of you. I begin by acknowledging that many of us in attendance this evening in the Seattle area rest on the unceded ancestral homelands of the Coast Salish people from time immemorial. In this moment, we pause to give deference to the original stewards of these lands, past, present, and future. Thank you. In years past, we would celebrate our accomplishments together at the beautiful Bell Harbor or over Valentine's Day breakfast in Auburn. This year has been unlike any other. In this year of twists and turns, the work of the Y Social Impact Center has become more important than ever to our region's youth, young adults, families, and broader communities. If you're new to our community or only knew us as Accelerator or Nexus, allow me to introduce the Y Social Impact Center. This Center of Excellence was formed in 2020 to bring together the Accelerator YMCA and Nexus Youth and Family Services as one synergistic unit to better serve our community. Through these programs, we served 5,500 young people and their families in 2020. During a global pandemic, we served young people providing critical mental health counseling, stable housing, education and employment, violence prevention programs, as well as continuing support for foster care alums. This year, thanks to our talented and versatile staff, generous donors, and community partners, the Social Impact Center expanded rapidly and innovatively to meet the growing demands of youth in crisis. To meet the rapidly escalating housing demand of youth and young adults experiencing homelessness, we increased our capacity to house and serve our young people by more than 50%, with 280 residents per night in 2019 to 450 this year. We opened 3 new residential buildings in Capitol Hill, Auburn, and Tacoma, and supported 350 young adults with rental assistance, preventing evictions after loss of income due to COVID-19. Our investments here totaled $1.6 million, with 75% benefiting BIPOC young people. We expanded our behavioral health treatment offerings from a focus on youth and young adults to now include kids, teens, adults, and seniors from all walks of life to support our community through a difficult year. We expanded from about 10 therapists to more than 40 therapists, and we pivoted to providing these services virtually and safely leveraging telehealth and in person when that was possible. We added 50% more foster homes and expanded services across our region, including into Pierce County for more than 300 young adults transitioning out of foster care, supporting their housing, education, and employment goals. This year, to help address the concerning trend of youth suicide in King County, we launched our suicide prevention webinars to connect families with mental health experts and support. Today's event is so special to me because we have the unique opportunity to go beyond the statistics, to hear and celebrate powerful stories of young people who have changed their lives. Tonight, community partners, donors, program participants, and staff have joined together to showcase how our youth have used art to cope even during the pandemic. Thank you for sharing this special evening of art and resiliency with us. With that, I'm pleased to introduce our MCs for the evening, Social Impact Center Executive Director Mark Putnam and Director of Philanthropy Michael Jackson.
Thank you, Loria. I am so happy to see so many of you virtually gather here tonight. I really wish we could be together to celebrate the community that you and we have built together in support of young people, and I'm really optimistic we're going to be able to do that for our next event. It's feeling a little lonely here in this ballroom. You can see all the empty tables. This is the Bell Harbor, where we were in December of 2019. I did find my name tag from our December 2019 event in my suit jacket pocket. I think that's the last time I wore this jacket. In the meantime, we hope you find some comfort in celebrating at home, lifting a glass of your favorite libation, snacking on food out of your own fridge, and wearing comfy clothes doing so. Tonight, we're excited, really excited to show off a little bit, tell you a little bit about the work that we're doing, but also I knew we had a talented staff. We have really bright and smart young program participants, housing residents who are going places, going to do things in their lives, and we have community partners who are uber committed to improving their communities. What I didn't know is that the Y's got talent, like artistic talent. Not me, but some of the people that I work with clearly been hiding this talent, and tonight it's on display. So I'm really excited to share that with you. Tonight you'll hear from one of our housing residents who will share their gift of words. You'll hear from someone we lost this year who led our organization in the past and whose words continue to guide our future. You'll hear from community partners who help make the services of the Social Impact Center possible with their kindness and generosity. Tonight, we wish again we could see you in person, clank wine glasses, dash to go get the desserts, eat some overcooked salmon. But this is the next best thing this year. So we have about 400 of you here tonight. So cheers to each of you. Sit back and enjoy. And hopefully be really inspired tonight as well. You'll also, of course, have the opportunity to make a gift to support the work we're doing. And with that amazing segue, I'm going to introduce my partner in crime, Michael Jackson, Director of Philanthropy for the Social Impact Center and the Y of Greater Seattle, and my co-host for the evening, Michael.
Thank you, Mark. I'm looking forward to all the programming tonight. But first, I'd like to take a moment to thank the foundations, corporations, local businesses whose generous financial support is making this event possible. With their support, and because we didn't have to rent Bell Harbor and feed all of you, we have an amazing head start on your efforts to support our work. We've already gathered more than $60,000. But don't give up on us. Keep going. Let's push it some more. Our bronze sponsors include Auburn Mechanical, DLR Group, Heritage Bank, Miles Sand and Gravel, Packard Parts, Ho Construction, Rakes Foundation, and Wayscar Ford. Our silver sponsors include Cigna and Kaiser Permanente. And let's give a big, huge thanks to our gold partners, Amazon, the Ella Foundation, and the Fleck Family Foundation. Now, we'd like to take a moment to recognize a friend that we lost in 2020. As a champion for the Auburn community and Auburn Youth Resources, where he was the executive director from 1976 until 1997, we pause in this moment to honor and recognize Dick Brugger, who passed away in October 2020 at the age of 91. Dick led the newly formed organization, Auburn Youth Resources, which became Nexus Youth and Families, and last year merged with the Accelerator Y to form the Y Social Impact Center. And as an aside, merging organizations during a pandemic took some special kind of resilience, let me tell you. Dick had a passion, kindness, and a commitment to underserved youth and families. And it's a legacy and model that we can all aspire to. From all of us at the Y, thank you, Dick. Your spirit and legacy will live on in the values and examples that you set for all of us. Dick was a published poet, and he was the City of Auburn's first poet laureate. To kick off this evening's theme of the art of resiliency, here is Dick's wife, Leela, reading one of his poems.
Do something. My mother waged an ongoing war against the depravity of inactivity. Putting it positively, it played out vociferously. Do something. Doing nothing was akin to the most heinous of sins. It had dire consequences for a new hire at my family's Pipersville Inn. I'd cringe when I'd see a young waitress audaciously sit down. For my brother Bob, who was an expert writer, it was more precise. Robert, write something. For me, it was simply the generic Richard, do something. She or we never knew exactly what I would do or be. Over the years, I became a Roman Catholic priest. I grew a youth and family counseling agency. I developed shelters for runaway kids, was named a Citizen of the Year, and I comfortably retired. Yet my mother's words constantly haunt me.
Thank you, Leela. What a powerful moment to recognize such an amazing man. His legacy will live on in the work that we continue to do in Auburn and throughout King County. I was so pleased to be able to meet you and Dick last year at our annual Valentine's breakfast in Auburn. To quote our City of Auburn Mayor, Nancy Backus, who said recently, Dick Brugger was a larger than life figure in the Auburn community. His life was a testament to kindness and compassion, and his passing leaves a hole in all of our hearts. Thank you, Mayor, for joining us tonight. We're also joined by members of the Auburn City Council, Chris Stearns, Larry Brown, Bob Baggett, and Yolanda Trout Manuel. Thank you for joining us and for your public service. Next, I'm pleased to introduce a talented resident of Arcadia, which opened in April 2020 in Auburn and is home to more than 20 young people. Take it away, Madison.
So my name is Madison Williams. Today I'm going to be singing Demon Host by Timber Timber. Singing has been a coping skill of mine for a long time. It helps me get through rough times. So, yeah. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. Death, she must have been your will, a bone beneath the reaper's veil. And with your voice my belly sunk, and I began to feel so drunk. Candle, candle on my clock. Oh Lord, I must have heard you knock me out of it as the flames licked my head and my lungs filled up black in their tiny little shack. It was real, and I repent. All those messages you sent, clear as day, but in the night, oh, I couldn't get it right. Oh, 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 oh. Here is a church, and here is a steeple. Open the doors, there are the people, and all their little hearts at ease for another week's disease. Eagle, eagle, talons scream. I never once left in between. I was on the fence, and I never wanted your 2 cents down my throat in the pit, with my head upon the spit. Oh, Reverend, please, can I chew your ear? I've become what I most feared, and I know there's no such thing as ghosts, but I have seen the demon host. Ooh, 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 ooh,
Thank you for sharing with us, Madison. Your talent shines bright. Your resiliency through these unprecedented times is really inspiring. We're honored to be on this journey with you. Thank you for doing that. That's so brave. This year, as Lori mentioned earlier, we've expanded our housing options by more than 170 people. So we can now house on a given night 450 people. And we've opened 3 new buildings, which we've never done before. I think we've opened 1 building in the last 10 years or something. We opened 3. It happened to be 2020 and all that entailed. One was Arcadia in Auburn, where you just saw Madison, Arlington Drive in Tacoma, and Roy Street Commons on Capitol Hill, which you'll hear more about in a minute. We've also expanded our homeless prevention services, our work with youth experiencing homelessness while in high school, our work to support youth transitioning from foster care. We've expanded our programming with the new housing program that's federally funded for sexually trafficked youth. And we've increased our efforts to reduce juvenile justice system involvement. Each of these efforts took a ton of leadership from our staff, our partners, our board, our donors, and young people themselves. It takes all of that to braid it together to make it happen. So here to tell the story about one of those partnerships, did I mention that this happened during 2020's twin pandemics of systemic racism and COVID-19, is Scott Schubert from the Y and Amy and Eric Friedland signing in from Nicaragua.
Thanks, Mark. My name is Scott Schubert. I am the Senior Program Director of our Housing and Homeless Services. And today I get the opportunity to interview Amy and Eric Friedland. The Friedlands are the owners of Roy Street Commons and would love to just tell you a little bit about their story and how they got involved at the Y Social Impact Center. So I have a couple questions for you, Amy and Eric, and welcome. So my first question for you is, how did you get involved with the Y Social Impact Center and how did this impact you?
Thanks, Scott. That's a really good question. Well, a pandemic hit, and we found ourselves with a nearly empty building in a great spot of Capitol Hill. And we asked ourselves, you know, what can this building do? What purpose can it serve? We spoke to a number of different low-income housing providers. And it was when we walked through the building with you and Alexis, and you talked about your vision, and I could just see the palpable enthusiasm and excitement, your intellect, your commitment, your passion. Eric and I just knew that it was the right partnership.
Yeah, I remember that conversation too, and just walking through the building and saying, this is exactly right for what we're needing for our young adults. So again, thank you so much. So you previously operated this as a hostel / kind of hotel, Airbnb. And then once the pandemic hit, you decided to partner with the Y Social Impact Center. So what drew you to the YMCA?
I mean, it's really just the efficient, impactful, amazing work that the Y is doing, in particular with this group of people that are aging out of foster care and, you know, still need services and support and guidance and shelter. I mean, goodness, we talk about resilience. How can you be resilient when you're constantly looking for a place to lay your head? So I guess, and I'll let Eric take it from there too, but we just were impressed also by your efficiency and your leanness and your passion, and the fit of this building that feels frankly like a dorm for kids that age.
Yeah, I think it was a good fit for the people that you are serving, and that aligned with our values as well. We have teenagers, and so we see on many different levels the needs that young people have, and so it aligned with our values perfectly.
Great. I remember when we were talking and you were talking too about your legacy and how you wanted Roy Street to be really a legacy for the community. Over the pandemic, one thing that I just want to highlight for you guys, and we've talked about this a little bit too, is that in the midst of the pandemic, the Y Social Impact Center has actually added over 100 units of housing for youth and young adults in our community, which is amazing to be a part of. And your building definitely is a part of that opportunity for us to house more young adults in our community. So real quick, the theme, and you guys kind of spoke about this a little bit, is of our benefit is the art of resilience. So how have you seen the residents and young adults at Roy Street kind of build up that resilience? And if there's any stories or examples that you want to share.
Yeah, so, you know, our relationship with the building and with its residents, we try to keep good boundaries and give them their privacy. Yet I must admit that we do watch from afar, and one of Eric and I's favorite things to do is to go over and decorate the building for holidays. We want to give these young people, you know, tradition and predictability and pride of place. We want them to feel really proud of where they live. And, you know, I recall we were decorating for Halloween and someone came out and, you know, I asked their opinion, and they were so just engaged and eager to feel part of decorating this beautiful building in which they're living. And, you know, I think that the building, Eric and I were talking about this, literally our entire family put blood, sweat, and tears into building that building, including our 3 children.
I was the blood and sweat.
I was mostly the tears. But so that building it comes from love and resilience. And I just hope that the people that live there feel enveloped with and by the love and resilience that our family had to expend in order to, you know, get that off the ground.
We have, you know, we try to work a little bit, behind the screen a little bit, doing things, working on security, making sure all the locks work for the staff, and make sure that the Wi-Fi and works well for the staff, or not the staff, but the guests. So, I meant the guests when I initially said that. But we're make sure the place is clean, and so we just don't know exactly. That feels right for us, to keep that a little bit of distance, but be involved and help in that sort of way.
And one story that I don't think you guys will share, but I'll share with the audience, is that we needed some furniture and we needed some tables. And Eric, you right away just started to build a table for our staff so that we had more space, especially during COVID. So that's an example of just the dedication that you guys have put into that building. One last question that I have for you guys is, what would you say to people who are maybe thinking about donating or partnering with the YMCA?
You go ahead and answer that one.
Yeah, I would say dig deep and give big. We have been so impressed by the professionalism, the passion, the efficiency, the intellect of the YMCA as an organization, and just the commitment that we've seen, Scott, especially from you and Alexis. You guys pour your heart and soul into that place every day, and you're making huge impacts on young people's lives. Because without a safe place to shelter, without security around housing, how does one become their best self? And so that's something that we're really proud of.
Yeah, it's a really hard. It's a hard group to serve, I would say, and I think a lot of organizations might shy away from young youth, but the level of professionalism, the training is astounding, and I'm just continually impressed at how well you guys run this organization and how hard it is and how impressive you do it.
Well, I just want to thank you guys for all that you do for the Y Social Impact Center, for our young adults, and really your legacy continues, through this building. And so we're excited about our future partnership with you guys and being able to house more young adults in our community. And we're super thankful for you.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
And one other thing that Eric and I have talked about is, when he was building this building initially, the idea was that it would, serve a community, a bigger community, and allow community to be built within it with these open shared spaces, and then, sort of smaller living spaces. Its proximity to light rail, the walkability to the Olmsted, designed volunteer park, to give young people the opportunity to live in a part of Capitol Hill that frankly has become out of reach for a lot of folks. Feels like something we're really proud of.
We knew that we were providing affordable housing in a communal environment in a great location, and it has pivoted a little bit about how we initially envisioned this. As a doctor, I wanted to provide housing for medical students and nurses, as there's 6 or 7 hospitals on Capitol Hill. And that led us to Airbnb to find housing for traveling nurses and traveling medical students, because that's where they had migrated to. So then it became sort of, it functioned in that level. And now this is working with the YMCA. It really aligns with our initial goal, was to provide, great, safe, affordable, adorable housing for young people.
Great. And one thing I haven't mentioned to you guys, and so we'll get your reaction kind of live, is that we found out this week that the King County funding that we received is going to continue through the next year. So we're really excited about this.
Oh, wow. That's excellent.
So,
that is excellent news.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. You guys get
and to you too.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Eric and Amy, the partnership with your family in Roy Street Commons is is so important to us and the youth we house. Amy, your comment about pride of place really resonated with me. And as Scott said, we got funding to continue running that site. So we're very excited. And thank you for your partnership. You just don't know how important that is to us and how much we value that partnership. Now for you in the audience, as you can see, there are multiple ways to give. You can text YIMPACT to 55678 and fill out the online form, or you can click the link in the chat box and make a gift online. You can double your gift if your employer matches your employee contributions, or you can contact us for information on a planned gift. However you choose to support the Social Impact Center, we thank you and we appreciate you. For our next segment, we'd like to highlight the staff of the Social Impact Center, who have learned a lot about resiliency in 2020. These frontline workers have found innovative ways to continue working with their clients despite the global pandemic. They've witnessed and heard stories of trauma, job loss, homelessness, and distress every day. Through all of this, they've had to deal with their own issues. They have to figure out what it means to their family, their friends, and their neighbors. Through the medium of art, this talented group was able to find an outlet to help them cope with what they're seeing at work, at home, and throughout the country. We're honored that they are able to share their talents with us today. So please, take a look.
Wow, yeah, the Y's got talent. Our staff and the participants. I had no idea that you all were as talented as you were. Don't take that the wrong way. I didn't know you had this kind of artistic talent. Kind of digging a hole here, but what I mean to say is that the talent that we have within the Y community is astounding, and I think, not just as artists, obviously, but as compassionate, smart, caring individuals, that are really, really skilled at what they do. And I'm proud to call you my colleagues as we work together to make an impact in our communities. This year, as Michael said, it's not been easy for anyone. Our staff have truly been heroes. We talked a lot about resiliency as a staff this year, really starting with ourselves. The staff have had their own ups and downs, losses of family members, the impacts seemingly daily and weekly of national and local tragedies, starting really, they'll write books about this period of time, but from Ahmaud Arbery to this week's, past tragedies in Georgia and Colorado. We're all human, and this year has impacted each of us so much. First responders, healthcare workers, grocery store clerks have rightly been hailed as heroes this year, but I have to say in the mainstream media, overlooked often our social services staff. Without the Y Social Impact Center staff and other agency partners, heroically and compassionately reporting to work, young people would have been without homes, without mental health support, without education support, and so much more. So I can't say enough or adequately really put into words how important our staff have been to our community resiliency this year. I hope you can see and feel that tonight and see the expressions of their hopefulness as well. Our next guests are here to highlight the Alive and Free program and our partnership with the Burien Police Department. Alive and Free builds meaningful relationships with youth involved in gangs, violence, and the juvenile justice system, and connects young people to services that help them stay alive and free. Outreach is a strategy that we employ that integrates a comprehensive response to youth violence, local youth violence. And we do that in partnership with other youth serving agencies in Seattle and County, from school districts and police departments and partner agencies. Using personal experiences, strong ties to the community, and extensive training, our outreach workers for Alive and Free help build a web of support to surround youth. Outreach workers go where youth are in the community, respond to crises, provide a bridge to relevant services, and really help youth navigate challenges and conflicts along the way. So I'd like to introduce two of the leaders of that program, Aaron Fox and Marv Marshall, as well as the Burien Police Chief, Ted Bowe.
So, hi everyone. My name is Aaron Fox. I'm the Senior Director for the Young Adult Services for the YMCA Social Impact Center. I'm here today with Chief Ted Bowe of the Burien Police Department, and with Marvin Marshall, who is the Director of the Violence Prevention Programs, which the Alive and Free program is one of those programs. So, hello folks, and how did you get involved with the Link Steering Committee, Chief?
I got hooked up with this group right after I became the Chief of Burien about 3 years ago now. The work that we're doing with the comprehensive gang model is really important in our community, and that's how I started looking at this, is what are the options that work best for our youth, and this is one of the options I think is very powerful for helping our youth who stubbed their toe get back on a better path.
And so LINK stands for Leadership, Intervention, and Change. And Marv, how did you get involved with this program?
Definitely. So the LINK model is the comprehensive gang model. It's a nationally recognized evidence-based model, and YouthLink is King County's version of it, and so with that being said, there are a lot of different parts to the comprehensive gang model, and street outreach is one of those parts. And the YMCA's Alive and Free program has been the contracted outreach partner for the model, I would say for about 6 years now or so.
All right. So Chief, how do you think that the Y Social Impact Center has impacted the success of LINK?
First of all, I want to say it's just really having great partners. Before we started recording today, we were all laughing and joking about, facial hair and working together. And I think that's what it really is that we've become a team where we're looking at this from all of our disciplines together and how can we best serve our youth. And the work y'all do in our community is amazing. It's integral to the success we have here in Berrien.
How about you, Marvin? What do you think has impacted the success of the link?
I think one of the important things to note that we work all throughout King County, and with the Social Impact Center, there are so many different communities that we serve, and that's helped us to be able to be in all those different communities and be able to serve the county as a whole, in a holistic approach, and then also with the different resources that we have within the Y. The YMCA has an abundance of different resources, so whether we're talking about housing or we're talking about behavioral health or we're talking about employment or education, we're able to utilize a lot of those different resources, and so that's what I think has been a big help in just the different communities that the Social Impact Center is in.
Definitely, the collaboration is very, very important. So the theme of this year's benefit is the art of resiliency. How do you think the youth and young adults that are served through Link demonstrate their resiliency on a daily basis?
And I'll jump on this. I'm not as probably talented as Marvin is at answering this, but I think it's been such a rough year for kids when you take away their structure. And for so many of these youth, sports and school is their structure. And the work that these kids have done to come through this, as well as a lot of them have, is truly a testament to their resiliency. And I think that's what I see is, man, we think we have a rough ride. It's rough and scary when you take away all their structure. So that's where I think their resilience really shines.
Yeah, and I'd have to agree with that. The pandemic was rough, 2020 as a whole, and most people were caught off guard and just had to kind of adjust, so when you look at that adjustment, what does that look like for a young person that's in survival mode, and so you can only imagine that adjustment is going to be a lot harder, more of a hurdle. And so I think that's how they've been resilient, was by adjusting, being able to adjust while in survival mode and still fight for their future, and show up in different ways. And so that's what I would say, is just being able to adjust during the pandemic when you're under-resourced.
Yeah. So Chief, you've been a huge supporter of the outreach worker, the Alive and Free program. Could you tell us about any other vision that you might have that the Y Social Impact Center can support the community of Berrien?
I really see the work we're doing here is a lot of times intervention work, and we really look at kids that have already kind of stubbed their toe and getting them back on a good path. I think every opportunity we have to work in the prevention world, positive role models in kids' life, activities, and structure it's huge in preventing kids from getting engaged in the criminal justice system to start with. And I think those are huge opportunities that we would welcome any partnership that really helps us from even getting into the criminal justice system to start with.
How about you, Marv? How do you see that the Y can impact our communities?
I would just look at the different partnerships, whether it's being able to partner with, smaller grassroots agencies, being able to advocate for the community, for those that don't oftentimes have a voice. I think those are the two biggest ways, I think, just from an advocacy standpoint and then a partnership standpoint, how can we give voice to the community? How can we help those in the community do work in the community? So those are a few different ways.
Thanks. So we kind of touched on a little bit about 2020. We had two major pandemics that occurred in 2021 with the COVID-19 pandemic. But also with the social unrest, the racism pandemic, how did that affect the ability to work with our young people?
It's I have a sign on my board right next to me that says "We move at the speed of trust," and I think that's where really we had to reset in a lot of ways and say, what does trust look like, and how does that look in our community, and how does the relationship between law enforcement and our community really look, particularly young men of color, and really resetting that and then figuring out where we go from here.
Definitely. Definitely. It's it's been a rough year, the pandemic from a service provider standpoint, it limited the access to be able to see people in person, so it was hard to connect with kids, and then when you look at the support of those young people, what does it look like when everyone goes remote and you don't have connectivity, and so just looking at different ways in which we can engage them, whether it be telehealth, do a lot more electronic engagement, and then also still showing up in person, and then from a race relations standpoint, these are issues that we've had forever, these are not nothing new, I think that now that we're in a digital era, that everyone's able to see these things, but it's good that everybody's paying attention now, but these are not new things, so they're not new to 2020. We're just having a different conversation about them in 2020.
Definitely. I appreciate that. So what would you say to people who are thinking about donating or partnering with the YMCA? What words of advice or encouragement would you give them to join our movement and celebrate this good work with us?
I would certainly invite them to join us financially any chance we get. It costs money to do this work. It costs money to provide some of the services related to outreach, but also related to those protective factors our youth need. Some of the good work is on things like housing stability and food stability, and getting a kid a set of shoes when nobody gets them a set of shoes for school, and making sure that they have that social support as well. So when I see the good work here, it's often on that protective side of life, which costs money, as well as the intervention and the outreach side of life. So yeah, it's a very worthwhile investment. It's an investment in our youth. One kid saved is money well spent.
Definitely. Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, I say, what would you say to people who are thinking about donating to the Y and partnering with us?
Definitely. I would say that you should look at the work we do. There's a lot of different service areas that we provide, and whatever you're passionate about, then you should definitely look at how you can support those efforts, whether that's donating financially, whether that's donating your time, or other resources, and so I would definitely say look at the different partnerships that we have and just find something that you're passionate about.
Well, I appreciate you both. It's been super fun working with both of you over the last few years. I applaud you both. I think you two are both prime examples of the type of people that we need in our community to collaborate and to really push this work forward and to end community violence and to empower young people to meet their goals. So thanks for the work that you do, and thanks for your time today. Appreciate you.
Aaron, thank you for your leadership. That's a big part of this is your leadership as well. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Wow. Thank you, Chief Bo. Thanks, Aaron. And thanks, Marvin. It was a great conversation. Some of the things that you guys said just really hit home. I mean, you talked about race relations, and everybody knows what we're going on. You talked about moving at the speed of trust, Chief Bo, and we understand what that means. You talk about hitting the reset button. We know what that means. There's a lot of things that need to go on, and you guys were having the difficult conversation that we all need to have. So it's heartwarming to see the partnership that you guys have created between these two organizations, considering what we've gone through these past few years. Together, you guys are showing us a way forward. So again, thank you for showing us that path. Now, I'd like to bring back our president and CEO, Loria Yaden. Loria, you have the podium.
Wow. I am so moved and inspired by tonight's stories and performances. Thank you to the Brugger family, Jacob, the Friedlands, Chief Bo, staff who submitted their art, and our incredible MCs. We also extend our sincerest thanks to our incredible community partners, Amazon, Auburn Mechanical, Biala Foundation, Cigna, DLR Group, Fleck Family Foundation, Heritage Bank, Kaiser Permanente, Miles Sands and Gravel, PACCAR Parts, Poe Construction, Rakes Foundation, and Way Scarf Ford. I am incredibly proud of the work we accomplish and the young people we empower through the Social Impact Center, and we cannot do this work without you. Here to share more about how you can make it happen is Social Impact Center Board Chair, Crystal Brune.
Here we go. Wouldn't be a virtual event without some technical difficulties. Thanks for the introduction, Loria. And I echo your thanks to the artists, performers, Madison and Leela, donors, Amy and Eric, community partner, Chief Bo, and all of our sponsors. As you've seen tonight, the Social Impact Center has been hard at work in 2020, helping youth build resiliency and a path forward before and during the pandemic. I'm especially proud to be the Social Impact Center Board Chair and continue the mission of building a community where all people, especially our youth, are encouraged to develop to their fullest potential in spirit, mind, and body. This past year has emphasized how deeply we are all connected to one another and how much we truly need one another to survive and thrive. My personal commitment to support our community through the incredible mission of the Social Impact Center is as strong today as it was when I first joined the board 6 years ago. I continue to give generously of my time, my passion, and resources because I'm inspired by the strength and resiliency of our youth and our young people, and I believe in our incredible staff who continue to show up every day and lead with empathy and conviction. This past week, as we prepared for the event at our monthly board meeting, we were reminded of the impact of our work and the impact that it has on young people across the region. Mark showed a video that I would love to share with you tonight. Please be aware, though, that this is raw emotional footage and it contains some adult language.
Oh my God, I'm so I need to record me crying. Bro. Oh my God. Oh my God. I have a fucking apartment, bro. Holy shit, bro. They gave me a welcome basket and shit with all kinds of stuff, bro. Oh my God. Blessed.
Oh, I'll give you a moment to reflect on that powerful moment that we just saw. You saw the emotion and excitement on her face as she walked into her very own apartment for the very first time. She is my why, the why that reminds me to celebrate every success and that motivates me to stay focused on the work at hand. We are all a part of her story. Tonight, we have the opportunity to further the work of the Social Impact Center in King County and the surrounding areas by donating to this amazing organization. I'm inviting you to join me and my fellow board members and make a gift tonight. As you can see, there are multiple ways to give. You can text YIMPACT to 55678 and fill out the online form. Or you can click the link in the chat box and make a gift online. You can double your gift if your employer matches employee contributions, or you can contact us for information on a planned gift. However you choose to support the Social Impact Center, we thank you and we appreciate you. Now I'm going to hand it back to our two amazing and entertaining MCs for some final thoughts. Mark, Michael, thank you for inviting me here tonight.
Thank you, Crystal. we appreciate all you do for the Y as our social impact center advisory board chair. I swear, I think I've seen that video 4 times and I cry every time. Thank you to the entire Social Impact Center board, our Y of Greater Seattle board members for your dedication. Tonight would not have been possible without you. I also want to specifically thank our Social Impact Center Board Financial Development Committee Chair and Board Vice Chair Josh Walker, and then the staff team that envisioned and carried this event out, including Melissa Peterson, Becca Kuhn, Cato Camacho, and of course you, Michael. Back over to you.
To our audience, thank you for being with us tonight. We hope you enjoyed the programming. Please do this. Stay safe, stay distanced, get the vaccine when it's your turn, and wear a mask.
We look forward to seeing you next year in person. Take care, everyone. Thanks for being here.